Hello guys and welcome back to another video, and today we have a review of this gorgeous locomotive. This is the Stirling Single, which is a brand new release from Rapido, and it has the smaller tender as well, which is the one I prefer, and I think it's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. So it's already been ran in, so we'd have to complicate it with anything, so it's ready to run in this video. It has been unboxed previously, obviously that's why it's out of the box, but we'll run through the detail, give it a bit of a running session, go through the performance, etc. In today's video, and have a proper look at it. So yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous, and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this review, so let's get to it. So first off, we'll look at the box. Now, I'm not going to open the box because it took me about 10 minutes to open it when I got the loco out, because it's very, very tight fitting in the thing, so I'm just going to leave it. But inside it is the usual foam, and then block of ice, and then foam, so it's nicely protected the locomotive inside. We do have the instructions here, so we'll run through those. So it gives you rundown of everything you need to know. You can pause all of this and read it if you need to. It's quite thick as well, so hopefully this won't take very long. But there are accessories for the locomotive as well, and it does tell you here about them. So for example, the splashers, etc., and couplings and a couple of other bits and bobs, which are, most of them are on the locomotive now. I've put these on, put that on. I've not put these on because they're quite loose fitting, and I've put that on, but some bits I've not put on for restriction of the layout, so you can choose what you want and what you want to put on, and what you don't want to. So. DCC fitting, and then that's the other style tender, that's the larger style tender, and it gives you a rundown for the larger style tender as well, and yeah, that's about it. And then some pictures of the actual locomotive. So you can see that's a picture of the small tender of the real loco, which looks fantastic in those photos. That's an N2 as well, which I have on there. So that's quite cool. And then obviously a bit of running there as well with the loco. And that's the exploded diagram. And there's the one with the larger style tender. That's the exploded diagram for the larger tender. And the timeline for the history on the loco, which there is a bit of history further, slightly further up in the box. So there you go. That's the owner's manual, and we'll now get to the detail. So it is a massively, heavily detailed locomotive. Like, it's when I say heavy, I mean it's genuinely quite heavy loco actually as well, because it is all die cast. Running plate is die cast front to back, and so is the boiler. It's cold to the touch as well. So yeah, I don't think the cab is. The cab's plastic, I think, but that's what you'd expect anyway. But the fact that so much of it is made of metal is incredible. This is a single wheeler, however, in model form, the rear two trailing wheels also drive the locomotive. That is so that it doesn't need traction tyres and has a decent level of pulley power, which is good. So it's pretty good, and it does look really cool going around with a huge wheel as well. So this is an outside cylinder single wheeler, whereas my other single wheeler, which is that LMS one, is an inside cylinder, so it doesn't have any coupling rods, so it looks a little bit weird running around, but it's quite cool. So we'll start at the front as we normally do. As you can see, we have the vacuum pipe separately fitted. It isn't the tightest fitting thing, so you've got to be careful with that. Then you have this lovely coupling, which is a proper coupling hook, which I don't often put front couplings on locos, so I've put this on just because it looks really pretty with it on. And the coupling hook as well, painted in the silver, matches the buffers really nicely, which are sprung, and they're nicely sprung as well. They're not too sprung, but they've got a little bit of resistance to them, so it's very nice indeed. You have the white banding around the red buffer beam, and you have number 1 painted beautifully on there as well. You have the separately fitted lamp brackets, which are really nicely put onto the die-cast running plate. Loads of riveted detail as well. Then you've got these bits, sort of buttress style things on the front of the smoke box there, which looks fantastic, and they're lined into the red. So is the running plate as well, which is all the way down. It's this sort of browny colour, which I can't really see unless the light's on it, but you can on camera actually, which is really, really nice, and it contrasts the green really, really well, which I really like. So that's very, very nice indeed. Axles are picked out in this really nicely as well. They're painted over and put into the black, so they look realistic. And then you've obviously got the silver painting around the front of the cylinders and the rear of the cylinders as well, which is really nice. And then you have it all on the smoke box as well for the dart as well, which is pretty cool. Have a separately fitted metal handrail all the way around the locomotive, which is really nice. And then you've got extra bits of detail picked out and painted separately. So you've got the silver above the where the, what are these called? Splashers. It's a huge splasher in it for a loco. You got those picked out really nicely, and then you've got the brake rod as well, which I think is separately fitted. Oh, it's very well moulded on. I think it's possibly separately fitted, but it looks metal as well, which is pretty cool. Then you have the what I would call the splasher, but you can see it is huge. The driving wheels are insane, and it's got these bits picked out as in like the hole, so you can see the wheel moving around, which is obviously realistic to the real thing, but it looks fantastic when it's going around. You do also have some writing there, and you can just about see it, I think. So I'll see if I can zoom in. It is legible. I don't know how close up I can get. There you go. That might be about as clear as I can get it. But we should be able to read something on that. But that's pretty cool, isn't it? Then you obviously have all the lining around that, which is into the brown and the red around the outside. You've got the silver around the splasher, which looks fantastic. All the white banding, and you've got the white and the black on the boiler, which looks superb. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, it's going to top by 5. There we go. And then you've obviously got all these separately fitted details, these like red pipes here, which are picked out separately, which looks fantastic. Loads of underframe detail as well, and I believe there is some underneath as well. So if you look, you can see all of that detail underneath the locomotive, which you don't really see. So it's difficult to get in and see where that is. You can just see it underneath the loco, but if it wasn't there, you probably wouldn't really notice it not being there. It is incredible that there's that level of detail on this locomotive. Towards the back, you have we have the cab, which is picked up really nicely, with the glazing and all the lining on it. And number 1 is painted onto the side, which looks fantastic with all the background as well. Have all these little tiny places where there's bits of lining, like on these tiny things here. Look at it, it's incredible. But then you have the whistle as well, which is separately fitted and picked out really nicely. And then you've got obviously the safety valve bonnet there as well, which is painted into the separate sort of goldy colour, which is pretty cool. The glazing is really nice on the cab as well. It's quite flush, and I think it is from the inside as well, so it's not got like a separate piece. So it's like actually looks realistic. The cab interior is really nice as well. You've got the plate to separate the tender and the locomotive, which is different depending on the tender you have. It is explained in the instruction manual. And then you have the wooden effect floor, which looks really good, and then you also have a firebox look on this locomotive, but it has a cover over over it, so it looks a bit more realistic and it doesn't shine right in your face, because I only noticed that the other day, which is pretty cool. And then you have all the gauges and all the pipework picked out separately, which is fantastic. And then we go to the tender, which is this gorgeous Great Northern Railway small tender, and I really like the small tender. I actually like it more than the larger tender. The reason I got the small tender version was because the larger tender one is exclusive to locomotion and is a lot more expensive, so to save costs I basically bought the smaller tender one, because it's basically the same loco but the smaller tender, but I do actually prefer the smaller tender now anyway. So obviously you've got that brown and red, which is picked out really nicely on the underframe, and it's quite open as well, so there's obviously detail underneath. You can see brake rigging and stuff underneath the tender, which is fantastic. It's wide and open, and then you've got the green and black for the wheels as well, so they're actually painted into a matching colour for the bodywork. It's just that little extra little bit of detail that makes the huge difference. You've got the green and you've got the green background, green main colour, and then obviously the white and the black lining to go around that. And there is a slightly darker shade of green that surrounds that as well, which is pretty cool. Separately fitted handrails and extra separately fitted parts on the inside of the tender, which was great. We've got the coal load, which is quite small, but it would have come above onto here as well, most likely. And then you have the water tank thing at the back, which is pretty cool. Doesn't lift up like it does in the Akira Scale Manor. That is a little gimmick that loco doesn't need, but it is awesome. You've got the GNR lettering, picks out really nicely on the side of the tender as well. It is opposite on the other side, which is the same. And then towards the back you have the lining around the back with the separate shade of green, the red buffer beam with the white banding, and then you've got the separate coupling, which is in the upwards position because of this coupling, and it would get in the way. Now it doesn't actually get in the way. You can pose that so it's down if you wanted to. I put that in so it matches, but I didn't put anything else in because that would possibly get caught, and I didn't want that to restrict the loco from hauling anything. So that's why I didn't put it in. Basically, there's loads of riveted detail as well, all across the top of the tender and all across the locomotive as well, all along the running plate, which looks fantastic. So it's a very detailed locomotive. I'm not going to go 100% in depth. I probably have to you, but probably to other people probably haven't. But I don't think that's fully in depth. But that will probably do for the detail because there is a lot of it, and you can see it as a gorgeous locomotive. We will now put this onto the track and enjoy running around the layout for a bit. So there is the Stirling Single on the track, and it looks fabulous. You can just see the Midland compound looking in the background. Gave it a run because it's not around for a while, so I've just left it on the track because I couldn't be bothered putting it away. But you can see that is also an NRM resident as well, so that's part of the National Collection, and so is this. This is actually, I think, is it in York at the minute? I can't remember whether it's in York or Shildon, but it was in York last time I saw it. Number 1 anyway, pretty cool. So let's get to the slow speed testing. So see what it's like. I've got one of those old controllers that sort of jumps it forwards and backwards. But that's pretty good. I mean, that's probably as slow as we're going to get. I might have to just try the slow speed on the feedback, which I don't really want to have to do, because I don't like running locos on the HMT. These start like newer and probably coolest motors on the feedback controllers, but we're going to have to do for the slow speed. So if you're on a feedback controller, that's how slow you can get the Stirling Single. Which is incredible, to be fair. Because I'm using one of those older Hornby non-feedback controllers, classic ones. It jumps in at a slightly higher speed. I mean, it's not as good in reverse for the slow speed. It's a bit more coggy backwards, but forwards it's incredible. This has been running, by the way. Yeah, so that will do for the slow speed. But that is that's on feedback, but I'm not running it on feedback sugar. There we go. I'm going to be getting a Gauge Master controller very soon anyway, to replace HM2000, so that I can have all tracks on non-feedback, so that I can run cordless motors on the inner line, because at the minute I can only run them on the outside line. So that's my slight problem. So it has one of those controllers that jumps in slightly, but it runs so well with the non-feedback controller. Oh, sugar. Yeah, things come off. Front bogey. That was quite funny. So we will get some coaches for this, which are going to be those. I've not got enough, but I'm going to buy some more. Stick those behind it, and we'll enjoy it running around for a bit. There we go. It is on the track with the little 6-wheel and 4-wheel parcel coach. I am going to get a couple more of those. I'm thinking 2, because it would look amazing with a proper rake of them. Maybe 3, because then 4 would look great. At least if I got 4, well, if I've got 3 and I had 4, I could have 2 GNR locos running with 2 each, because I'd have the parcel van for the other train. So maybe, I don't know, but I'd probably only run this with these coaches because it's classic, innit? Whereas I'd only probably run one at a time. I don't really run 2 locos at a time normally. So we will get the gorgeous Great Northern single wheeler, Stirling Single. running around the track then. So let's get all that's backwards. Yeah, it's just slightly annoying that he does that. What are you catching on? Sounded like it was catching on something then. Don't know what it was catching on, but who knows? It might have been the cold temperature of the track. It was just making a weird noise as it went over. Nothing. Didn't seem to be catching on anything. Right, we'll get some shots of it going around, and then conclude this video. Yeah, the train's not long enough. It's only a short train, isn't it? So it'll be nice to get a couple more for it. So at least they'd match nicely with the N2 as well then. It is beautiful. Yeah, I like this a lot more than I expected to as well, because I thought, do I spend £212 on quite a small single wheeler locomotive? But then I do like a single wheeler anyway, so I was like, yeah, go on, let's try it. And I'm chuffed I did, because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's the third Rapido locomotive I have. Look at the finish on the boiler with that being metal. God, it looks good. It's quiet and smooth and looks phenomenal. Yeah, it's not the largest locomotive in the world, and even with the rear axles being driving wheels in model form, it's not going to be the most powerful locomotive in the world. So I wouldn't advise putting it up with 10 teaks. It'll probably handle 3, and it'll probably look quite good with teaks. But I might give that a go later and see what it looks like. But realistically, a couple of these 6-wheel coaches are going to look fantastic. I think 4 would look amazing. I'm probably going to get 3 of them then to go with it. That little parcel one at the back. I'm not a big fan of the 4-wheeled ones unless it's the Great Western ones. I've got 4 Great Western ones, 4-wheeled ones, and they look fantastic behind City Trailer, and potentially the Dapper 14XXs when I get those. But the 517s, not necessarily the 14XX, but it's just, yeah, I like the 6-wheel ones more for the slightly larger locomotives. It does look fantastic though. Let it go. It is beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, this is one of the pre-orders I was looking forward to. I actually pre-ordered this and the Highland Railway Jones goods at the same time, on the same day, from Wales Sheffield. That was last year. About a year ago actually. So a year's wait for them. And both of them have been worth it, and they've both been fantastic. I've got a couple more Rapido locos on the order list. I think I've got a couple, I think I've got 2 from Akira Scale as well. I've not got an Akira, oh no I do, I've got 1 Akira Scale loco at the minute, so we'll see what them 2 are like, but one's a diesel. Got loads of stuff on pre-order though, so size that driving wheel. I just think we'll conclude this here. Let's get it back round. But it does look fantastic. Just needs a couple more of those coaches and it would look amazing. Not cheap though. Right. So, that is the gorgeous Rapido Trains Great Northern Railway Stirling Single. And yes, one of the most beautiful locomotives in the entire collection of what is currently standing at 62 locomotives. And it's the second, I think, is it the first edition of this year? I think it's the first loco this year, actually. That's pretty good. There is many to come throughout the year, but I think this one has seriously set the bar high for the locomotives to try and get near. I might do an award at the end of this year, because I don't normally do one, but I might do an award for the best locomotive of the year. I won't necessarily do a worst loco, because I don't buy necessarily bad locos, but I might do one, the yearly update video, or the running session video at the very end of this year. I might do one for
but what is the best locomotive that I've purchased this year, just in terms of detail, running, etc. Not necessarily price, because I'm not really bothered about that. But I might do it, and this has set the bar seriously high. So going to be quite a tough one to beat, I think, for the rest of the locomotives. So, but yes, that is this gorgeous thing. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please do subscribe and put the notification bell on when you're alerted, so that you're alerted when we make a new upload, because there will hopefully be a little bit more content this year than there was last year, and there was more last year than there was in the previous years. So we're hopefully on the up with content-wise. There will be lots of locos joining this year, because I've got loads of pre-orders in, and lots of changes to the layout, etc. So make sure you subscribe for that. But until next time, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you very soon for some more videos. Goodbye.